Good morning, everyone. My name is McCray, and I am a SNAP and nutrition educator for the EBR East Feliciana Parish, representing Southern University Ag Center. And today's topic is benefits of using a meat thermometer. So if you are a family member that everyone kind of looks to in regards to cooking the best meat or grilling the best chicken or grilling the best pork chops when it's time for family functions or events, you are probably used to family members coming into the kitchen or passing by the barbecue grill, impatiently asking, is it done yet? Now, those questions can create a desire to rush for doneness. But my question to you is done the same as safe? How does the cook even know that the food is even done? Many people test the doneness of meats by touch or sight. However, unless you're using a meat thermometer, you risk the meat not being properly cooked. Now, when not only do you risk the meat not being properly cooked, you can also increase the risk of a foodborne illness. So here are some grab facts. And as I always state, I love to call these facts grab facts because I want you to literally take these, grab them, and put them in your back pocket when you are using these things for the lessons that I am talking about. So my first grab fact is it done yet? Only a meat thermometer can be relied upon in the accuracy of done meat. Now, not only does a meat thermometer take those precautions, it also ensures that the bacterial destruction is gone. So that means that that meat does not have any bacteria that's not supposed to be in our bodies. It's pretty much gone from that meat when you are using a meat thermometer. Visual signs of doneness should be reserved for situations in which doneness is reached after the food has reached a safe temperature. So this pretty much means that you don't use your visual signs first. You use your meat thermometer first and check for the safe temperature. Then you can use the visual to kind of check and see if it's done for a second resource. My second grab fact is going to be use the meat thermometer properly. So you can be one that wants to get the fancy meat thermometer. If you know anything about meat thermometers, they come in many different shades, types. They come as a fork. They come in all different variations. But if you don't know how to use your meat thermometer, it pretty much defeats the purpose of even having one in hand. So when you have a meat thermometer, make sure that you are placing that meat thermometer in the thickest part of the meat, away from the bone, fat, or gristle. And also when you are using this thermometer, you have to understand the types of meats that you are using. So for an example, if you are using ground meat or ground meat or meat mixtures, you want to make sure that those meats are at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So this means that when you are inserting this meat thermometer into this meat, it is at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. When you're using fresh beef, veal, lamb, or even like those juicy steaks that we all love or that I love in particular, you want to make sure that it is cooked at 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, 145 degrees Fahrenheit is medium. We all know that steaks can be cooked at different temperatures, but it's up to your discretion. I personally like medium steaks, so that 145 degrees Fahrenheit is perfect, and that is the min amount of temperature that it should be cooked in to reduce any type of foodborne illnesses. I want to move on to my poultry. So my poultry is my chicken, my turkey, that should be cooked at 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you know anything about poultry, it can be pretty tough to get that moisture or that juiciness. So when you have that meat thermometer in hand and you have that 165 degrees Fahrenheit, it is going to ensure flavorful and juicy poultry. And then last but not least, my seafood. So seafood is a bit tricky. When you use a meat thermometer for seafood, I recommend 145 degrees Fahrenheit, but a visual is also necessary when you are using seafood, because you want to make sure that that flesh is still pearly or white in regards to, or on top of using that 145 degrees Fahrenheit tool when you are using a meat thermometer. My next grab fact is it prevents illnesses. So as I stated before, when you are consuming raw meat, poultry, you are most likely going to have food poisoning. And if you've ever had food poisoning before, I'm a living witness. I've had it before. It is not fun. It creates nausea, vomiting, stomach pains. I mean, just the whole nine. So using that meat thermometer in hand, it can reduce you from getting any type of E. coli or salmonella, which can make us very, very sick. So use a meat thermometer, guys. My next grab fact is going to be eliminate the guesswork. So we have a tendency that when we are using meat, we want to cut it open to kind of see if it's done. We don't want to use that meat thermometer. We want to cut it, look inside of it, see if I see any pink, see if I see any red. Nope, you need to use a meat thermometer, because when you are cutting that meat before it's actually done, you are pretty much reducing the juiciness and the liquids that are inside of that meat. You're pretty much letting air into it. And so when that air gets into that meat, it's going to be dry, it's going to be tough. Nobody likes tough or dry turkey or beef roast. So use a meat thermometer. And last but not least, check for accuracy. So if you know anything about a meat thermometer, or some people don't know that you do have to calibrate meat thermometers. There's a calibration that under the dial that can be adjusted. Now, it depends on the type of meat thermometer that you have, so it's pretty best to use your package instructions for those precautions. Did you know color is not a reliable indicator? So that goes back to my pinks and my reds. Don't open it up. Don't use your visual first. Use a meat thermometer. Did you know it's also important to reheat meals to safe temperatures? So not only should you be cooking these meats at a safe temperature, but also reheating them. So if you have the perfectly cooked chicken breast, I mean, it is juicy, it is flavorful, it's seasoned to perfection, and then you stick it in the microwave for a long period of time for what it should not be at, now you have reduced that juiciness to dry, tough chicken breast. So that's also a major indicator when you are using these specific internal temperatures. Did you know FSIS reports that, which is FSIS is pretty much Food Safety and Inspection Services, reports that even if hamburgers look fully cooked, 1 in 4 hamburgers may not be safely cooked. Very interesting. Did you know you should rest your meat about 3 minutes in foil directly after being cooked? So this is also a good tip in regards to keeping your meats flavorful and juicy, as I said, because that foil is going to consume that heat. It's going to consume that internal temperature that meat and specifically that you have cooked. And you don't want to smother the foil over the meat. You want to kind of do a tent type wrap over the food. So it should be pretty much like this, a little open, but a little kind of covered, just to let that air flow into it, but not enough air to where it tends to get dry. Did you know combination dinners also require the use of a meat thermometer? So when I say combination dinners, this means my lasagnas. If you are one that likes to cook casseroles and you're using a specific meat for that, you still want to use a meat thermometer because all of that is being combined into one, and you want to make sure that everything is cooked to perfection when cooking it for yourself or even for others. My lesson review. So if you don't grab anything from this lesson, I want you to know that you should stay familiar with the proper temperatures. And when I say temperatures, that is the internal temperatures of these meats that you are using. So when you're using any meat thermometer, remember to understand the meat that you are using. If you're using poultry, if you're doing a steak, if you're doing seafood, there are different types of temperatures, and all meats don't require the same temperature. So understand that you have a specific internal temperature for the specific meat that you are preparing. My next thing is sanitation. So think of a meat thermometer or any type of food thermometer as a cooking utensil. So you want to make sure that you are washing it with hot soapy water. Now, I do want to point out that all meat thermometers are not made the same. So you do have some that are plastic, you have some that are glass. So you don't want to use super hot water. You have to just know your meat thermometer to understand what your meat thermometer needs, but you don't want to submerge it or immerse it into water because you can damage it and you can ruin it and then have to go and buy another one. So wash carefully by hand and understand your meat thermometer. Last but not least, check manufacturer's instructions. 9 times out of 10, there are going to be some type of instructions when using your food thermometer or meat thermometer. Most meat thermometers have like a little needle on the end, and it's an indentation to kind of show when you are inserting this meat thermometer into your meat, this is where you should stop in order to get the desired internal temperature. So my lesson challenge for today, after learning more about the benefits of using a meat thermometer, I challenge you to use a meat thermometer for your next family cookout. So this may tend to cause more time to pass by, but I kid you not, if you are the family cook, They are going to love it because nine times out of 10, if you're not using a meat thermometer, it's probably overcooked, and you're not getting all of the nutrients and all of that flavorful that you should be getting from that specific meat. So I challenge you to use a meat thermometer and tell your family members to hold off for a while. The wait is going to be worth it because the meat is going to be cooked to perfection. All right. So tips for when using a meat thermometer: insert the food thermometer or meat thermometer into the thickest part of the food, as I stated before. Cook food until thermostat shows the proper internal temperature of the prepared food. And clean your food thermometer before and after each use. And this prevents us from anybody getting sick, getting any type of foodborne illnesses, or any type of food poisoning. Once again, my name is Sierra McCray. I am a SNAP and nutrition educator for the EBR East Feliciana Parish, representing Southern University Ag Center. Thank you guys for tuning into my live. Have a good day.